Deep in the Swedish countryside, along the E4 highway near Gävle, stands one of Europe's most peculiar sights, Dragon Gate. A massive Chinese palace complete with towering gates, a replica of the Great Wall of China, a miniature Tiananmen Square, a gigantic Buddhist statue, and a massive hotel. It's a bizarre, audacious landmark, strangely dropped into the pine forests of rural Sweden. But Dragon Gate isn't merely an out-of-place eccentric roadside attraction. It's a decades-long saga of ambition, broken dreams, international intrigue, and repeated legal troubles. This is the surreal tale of Sweden's most infamous construction disaster. Our story begins in the 1980s in the quiet municipality of Älvkarleby, known historically for its paper mill. After the mill drastically downsized operations, unemployment soared. Desperate to attract tourists and stimulate the local economy, municipal leaders, including ambitious councilman Kjell Hillgren, built a hotel called Älvkarlen, right off the newly rerouted E4 highway. Älvkarlen was no ordinary roadside motel. It was a towering 9-story structure planked awkwardly amidst the forest, costing taxpayers a staggering 50 million kronor. Locals were less than impressed. One memorable resident quipped to a reporter.
Vem fan skulle vilja vara där? Det är så jävla fult. Ser ut som ett stort utedass.
The locals dubbed it Giraffestallet, the Giraffe Stable, due to its yellow color and tilted roof shape. The hotel quickly became a financial disaster and was eventually sold at a loss in 1992, rebranded as Checkpoint Dalälven. But rebranding couldn't fix the fundamental issue. Tourists coming to fish in Dalälven preferred quaint cabins by the river over a stark high-rise hotel near a highway. The business never went smoothly, and after seeing the hotel up for sale yet again, in 2004 arrived in the form of Jingchun, known as Mr. Li, a charismatic billionaire who'd earned his fortune inventing mosquito repellents made from charcoal and herbs in Zhejiang. Rumors say Li saw Sweden on a map and believed the country resembled a prosperous dragon, deciding then and there to make Sweden his legacy. In reality, Li's brother already living in Sweden likely influenced his decision. After thinking up and then abandoning earlier plans for first a Chinatown halfway between Gothenburg and Oslo, and then a paper cup factory in Överkalix, Li purchased Checkpoint Dalälven for 9 million kronor. From this modest start, he envisioned Dragon Gate, a grand gateway to China in the heart of Sweden. His ambitious blueprint included not only a hotel, but also a restaurant with massage and acupuncture services on top floor, a museum, a sprawling marketplace, and a series of lavish attractions such as a replica of the Great Wall of China, a miniature of Beijing's Tiananmen Square, a massive statue of the Buddhist deity Guanyin, 200 life-size terracotta soldier replicas thanks to a collaboration with a museum in Xi'an, the world's longest wooden relief carving displayed within the museum, a Gongfu temple, and more. Li proclaimed the site's feng shui was extraordinarily powerful, brimming with qi.
Framförallt rätt feng shui, fint och vatten. Och det är en triangel och energiflödigt.
Hans vise man som han har rådgjort med i Kina rådde Mr. Li att han skulle söka sig till ett kallare land för han hade så mycket inre glöd så han behövde kylas ner.
And predicted thousands of visitors would flock to this cultural bridge between West and East. The municipality, desperate after years of economic failure, embraced Li wholeheartedly. But reality would soon clash violently with these grand ambitions. Problems began pretty much immediately. After first submitting nothing at all, Lee's architects submitted building plans written entirely in Chinese. Construction began illegally, without approved permits or proper inspections. 60 Chinese workers were flown in, paid a shocking wage of just 17 kronor, about $2 an hour, far below Sweden's minimum wage of 121 kronor per hour. The Chinese workers brought a radically different approach to construction than anything the municipality had encountered before. For example, erecting scaffolding from bamboo, a standard practice in Shanghai, but one that left Swedish safety inspectors horrified. Olle Wikholm from the local construction union, shocked by what he saw, remarked,
Jag menar, jag har ju jobbat i byggbranschen sedan 1961, så jag menar, vi hade inte så uråldriga grejer då som vad de hade nu.
Inspectors discovered workers using a deadly circular saw with no safety guard and dangerous construction elevators. Even after the authorities padlocked an elevator shut, Chinese workers immediately cut the locks after the inspectors left, continuing to use it as if nothing had happened. Because of this, eventually a 1.1 million kronor fine was levied against Lee's company. Despite all odds, no severe accidents seemingly occurred. Something municipal architect Erik Hemström in an interview with Sveriges Radio attributed to either sheer luck or incredible skill. Byggnadsarbetaren, which translates to the construction worker, is the official magazine of the Swedish Construction Workers Union, Byggnads. It covers labor issues, safety concerns and working conditions in the Swedish building and construction industry. Something like a union-backed trade magazine with investigative reporting. In 2006, Byggnadsarbetaren named Dragongate the worst construction project of the year, stating, "Inside those walls, it's likely a record was set for violations of Swedish workplace safety and regulations." Dragongate held its first grand opening in 2007, attracting a crowd of 6,000 visitors who braved the icy rain to witness a grand Rhapsody in Rock concert by Swedish celebrity pianist Robert Wells. Yet, despite the spectacle, the hotel itself remained closed. Swedish authorities repeatedly deemed the building unsafe, citing major fire hazard. Lee had rushed the construction and ignored critical regulations, skipping essential safety features like sprinkler systems and proper ventilation. For a time, Dragongate became a quirky roadside attraction where visitors could enjoy a meal. The restaurant, spa and gift shop operated despite the unfinished state of the larger complex. However, it proved difficult to get guests to linger. While some came for the food, few stayed long enough to try a Chinese massage or acupuncture treatment, services that felt oddly out of place at a pit stop off the highway. Despite multiple costly renovations and subsequent openings, one famously featuring Swedish musicians Kalle Moraeus and Ace Wilder in 2014, the hotel inspections kept failing and the hotel remained shut. The rooms sat untouched, lavishly furnished in traditional Chinese style, with dark mahogany woodwork, gold accents and an air of forgotten opulence. The hotel lobby featured a glossy stone floor in the ornate Chinese fashion, anchored by a gleaming golden throne flanked by gilded warrior statues standing guard opposite the elevators. Somewhere around here on the timeline, Lee lost his spark. By 2016, after more than a decade of unrealized promises and mounting costs, reportedly over 200 million kronor, including tens of millions for renovations to try and get everything up to code, he had had enough. Lee announced in early 2017 that he was returning to China and was going to sell Dragongate. The next year, it was quietly purchased by Sisyfosgruppen, a Swedish construction company specializing in impossible building projects. CEO Olle Larsson, who bought the property with a group of investors, said the price was about the same as a really nice house in Sigtuna, a polite way of saying Lee had taken an astronomical loss. Sisyfosgruppen acquired Dragon Gate with plans to revitalize the site. Their vision encompassed a cultural center, hotel, camping facilities, and spaces for martial arts and yoga training. There were even aspirations to establish a hub for Chinese investors interested in Swedish startups.
Vi med den kopplingen till Uppsala och staden Uppsala försöker bygga ett ekosystem för att utnyttja stadens olika delar och se att Uppsala skulle kunna bli Uppsala China City som vi kallar det. Där alla någonstans ändå förstår att Kina kommer att påverka oss väldigt mycket i framtiden.
For a brief period, these plans rekindled hope for the complex's future. Despite the progress and ambitions, Dragon Gate continued to face challenges. In June of 2019, the site made headlines for a very unexpected reason.
Den åtalade fastnade i en drogkontroll på en ravefest i juni och visade tecken på narkotikapåverkan enligt åtalet. Festen ägde rum på hotellanläggningen Dragon Gate utanför Gävle, rapporterar SVT. Det är helt oförenligt med polisjobbet att vara misstänkt för ett narkotikabrott, säger Per Ågren som är polisområdeschef.
A police chief from Gävleborg was apprehended during a drug bust at a rave party held inside the abandoned hotel. In November of 2024, the latest new chapter began when the entrepreneur Ted Rundqvist purchased Dragon Gate. Departing from the previous cultural and hospitality-focused visions, Rundqvist announced plans to transform the site into a unique rest stop. His concept includes offering Italian gelato, fuel services, and even recreational vehicle RVs for travelers. Rundqvist enthusiastically proclaimed that Dragon Gate would become Sweden's most interesting rest stop. Dragon Gate has always hovered between the grand and the absurd, a monument to ambition, cultural fusion, and the limits of visionary thinking. Over the years, it has promised everything. East meets West diplomacy, economic revitalization, spiritual retreats, martial arts schools, investment hubs, and now Gelato and RVs. And thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If you enjoyed it, remember to give me a like, a comment, and maybe even subscribe. I think this is a fascinating story, by the way, a genuine cultural clash between how high investment construction projects are handled by the Chinese government versus a Swedish approach. See ya!